The train's luggage fell and killed a passenger. The flight attendant saw the corpse on the ground and waved coldly to the security guard. The security guard lifted the corpse and put it in a sack. After sleeping at home, I woke up and found myself sitting on a train seat. I found that I was holding 200 yuan and a ghost-written ticket tightly in my hand. The text of the ticket was extremely distorted, and only the word second class could be seen. At this moment, the carriage was full of passengers, and some of them had the same puzzled expressions on their faces as I did. The radio in the carriage suddenly remembered, welcoming all passengers to board the 301 train. The train will arrive at the terminal at 8 Baos in 3 days. There will be bumps during the journey. Please keep calm. The following are the rules of the train. 1. Must spend. 2. Please do not enter other carriages at will. 3. Lights out at 8 p.m. 4. The flight attendant has the right to expel reserve players. What the hell is going on? I was just working from home. How did I come here? The announcer said, "This is a game. We won't be in danger, right?" The people in the train started talking and the mobile phone had no signal. The window was gray and something like ash was constantly drifting towards it, and there was a strange fragrance in the car, which felt like the smell of meat emitted from the human body, which was a little dizzy. Suddenly, a man covered in blood broke the bottleneck, and he rushed into our car from the next car for help. Before the people around him could react, he was dragged into the restaurant by the train security. I saw a battered ticket fall out of his pocket, and I picked it up to observe. It said, "Third class seat, dead." The female students in the carriage began to shout, and the crowd was in chaos in an instant. At this time, the train broadcast rang again. The train time will open an order service around 11 o'clock every day, and players can order food freely. The flight attendant has the right to exile players, and asks players to abide by the train rules when checking out. After the broadcast, the flight attendant quickly walked out from the front of the carriage and came out with a menu in his hand. Why is the food here so expensive? The passengers sitting in the front row saw the menu and complained. A glass of water costs 100 yuan, and instant noodles cost 300 yuan. If you don't eat one meal a day for 3 days, you can skip it. The flight attendant replied expressionlessly. At this time, I suddenly remembered the first rule. You must consume, or you will be expelled from the carriage. So, when the flight attendant arrived at my place, I asked for a glass of water for 100 yen, which was really strange. The moment I drank the water, the feeling of dizziness I had felt before disappeared, and the smell of meat in the carriage also dissipated a lot. I began to study the ticket carefully, but I did not expect that the back of his words were written, "My friend, do you still recognize these words? If not, then burn the ticket, jump off the train immediately, and leave the train. If you still recognize it, then please read carefully. These clues are crucial to you. First, the lower class cars are strictly prohibited from entering the upper class car unless someone opens the door for you. There is no doorbell in the second and third class cars. There is a doorbell in the back of the second and second class cars, and there are doorbells in the front and rear of the first class car. Third, the car can order food on credit, but it must be paid off within 3 days. 4. The car and seats are divided according to assets. I don't know what these clues mean. Did you also get the clue? How about I change it with you? The passenger next to me suddenly whispered to me and then handed me his ticket. I saw that it was clearly written, "Keep quiet at night. Do not turn on the lights after the lights are turned off at 8 o'clock. At this time, I observed that the switch rule 4 in the carriage clearly said that the lights can be turned on automatically. Why did the clue say not to turn on the lights? What happens after 8 o'clock at night? My brain was in chaos, and I decided to observe the reactions of the other passengers first. At this time, I discovered the terrifying fact that the passengers who had not eaten were still very hungry. Their eyes were all red, and the corners of their mouths were constantly dripping with saliva. They looked like beasts. It seems that the food in the carriage is a key prop for staying normal, but the money in my pocket is obviously not enough to last for 3 days. Rule number 5, please be kind to the division of real assets. If the rules are true, maybe I can sell these clues to the passengers of the first-class carriage in front. But the clue tells me that to enter the first-class carriage, someone must open the door for me. But who will let me in? I am lost in thought. The others seem to have entered a cooling-off period, and there is no broadcast all afternoon. It is soon 8 o'clock, and the smell of meat fills the carriage again. The broadcast finally rings again. It is train time, and the train is about to turn off at 7:55 p.m. The train may be slightly bumpy at that time. Please sit in your seats and keep quiet. After the broadcast was repeated 3 times, the lights were turned off, and the train was plunged into darkness. Only then did I notice that there were no stars or moons outside. "Are you all right?" someone in the carriage asked me. "Okay?" A girl had just finished answering when she heard her extremely miserable screams. After that, the sound of broken bones came from the darkness. Someone turned on the light in a panic, but almost immediately after it was turned on, a dark shadow directly threw the passenger down. The light went out again, and the sound of being torn again came from the darkness, as screams, and cries resounded throughout the carriage. It seems that this bloodthirsty creature may rely on sound and light to search for prey. Passengers are required to remain quiet after 8 o'clock. No wonder that clue and rule. I always sat in my seat and did not dare to make a sound. The sound of bones and tearing continued for dozens of minutes, until no one dared to move or make a sound. It was not until dawn at 8 o'clock that the radio sounded again. "Welcome players to board the 301 train. The train will arrive at the terminal at 8:00 in 2 days. Due to the death of 6 passengers last night, some rules will be revised. Please keep in mind the train time 2 days later and arrive at the terminal at 8:00. Let's play the rules of the train. Why are the rules changed? What will happen in the next 2 days? How can I use the rules to stop on this train?